Alex Thompson went to work on Tuesday morning as a 29-year-old software engineer with a wife named Jennifer and no children. He returned home that evening as a 31-year-old marketing director named David Mitchell, married to a woman named Sarah with 2 kids he had never seen before. What I discovered about the identity virus would reveal a conspiracy that could rewrite human existence itself, one person at a time. I'm Detective James Carter, and after 11 cases that challenged the boundaries of reality, I thought I understood how technology could be weaponized against human identity. But the case of the identity virus would show me that in the digital age, even our most fundamental sense of self could be infected and completely rewritten overnight. The call came from Alex Thompson, or the man who thought he was Alex Thompson, on a Wednesday morning in February. He was standing outside his own house, unable to convince his neighbors, his employer, or even his wife that he was who he claimed to be. "Detective Carter," he said when I met him at the coffee shop downtown, "someone has stolen my entire life and replaced it with a different one." The man sitting across from me appeared to be in his early 30s, well-dressed, articulate, and clearly distressed. He had called me specifically because of my reputation for handling impossible cases. "Mr. Thompson, explain what you mean by someone stealing your life." "Yesterday morning, I left for work as Alex Thompson, software engineer at Dataflow Systems. I've worked there for 4 years, been married to Jennifer for 2 years, lived in the same apartment for 3 years. And what happened when you returned home?" The apartment building manager said no Alex Thompson had ever lived there. "My wife Jennifer doesn't exist. The woman living in what I thought was our apartment is named Sarah Mitchell, and she's married to someone named David Mitchell." "Could you have gone to the wrong apartment?" "Detective, I tried to go to my office at Dataflow Systems this morning. Security said there's no record of any Alex Thompson ever working there. But they showed me employee records for David Mitchell, who's been working in their marketing department for 3 years. Alex showed me his driver's license, which clearly stated his name as David Mitchell, with an address he didn't recognize and a photo that looked exactly like him but seemed somehow wrong." "Mr. Thompson or Mr. Mitchell, when did you first notice these changes?" "When I tried to unlock my phone last night. My passcode didn't work, and when I finally got in, all my contacts were different. My photo gallery showed pictures of me with people I'd never met, at places I'd never been." "What about your memories? Do you remember being David Mitchell?" "That's the strangest part, Detective. I have 2 sets of memories. I remember my life as Alex Thompson clearly, but I also have memories of being David Mitchell, memories that feel real but that I know I never lived." This was unlike any identity theft case I had encountered. Someone had not only changed Alex's documentation and digital presence but had somehow implanted false memories while preserving his original recollections. "Mr. Thompson, I need to verify your claims. Can you give me details about your life as Alex Thompson that I can investigate?" Alex provided me with specific information about his job, his apartment, his wife Jennifer, and various life experiences. I spent the rest of the day attempting to verify these details. What I found was disturbing. Every trace of Alex Thompson's existence had been systematically erased and replaced with evidence of David Mitchell's life. Dataflow Systems had no record of Alex Thompson ever working there, but their HR files showed David Mitchell had been employed in marketing for 3 years. The apartment Alex claimed to have lived in showed rental records for David Mitchell going back 3 years. Most unnervingly, when I tracked down the woman Alex claimed was his wife Jennifer, she had no memory of ever knowing anyone named Alex Thompson. "Detective Carter," said Jennifer Walsh when I interviewed her, "I've never met anyone named Alex Thompson. I'm single and have been for over a year." "Ma'am, do you recognize this man?" I showed her a photo of Alex. "That looks like David Mitchell from the marketing department at Dataflow. We went on a few dates about 6 months ago, but we weren't compatible." According to every official record and every person I interviewed, Alex Thompson had never existed. David Mitchell had a complete life history, employment records, and social connections that stretched back years. But the man I had interviewed clearly remembered being Alex Thompson and had detailed knowledge of experiences that were inconsistent with David Mitchell's documented life. "Detective," Alex said when I updated him on my investigation, "I can prove I'm telling the truth about being Alex Thompson." "How?" "I remember working on a specific software project at Dataflow that hasn't been completed yet. I can describe technical details about their computer systems that only an engineer would know. I arranged for Alex to meet with the technical team at Dataflow Systems to demonstrate his knowledge. What happened during that meeting convinced me that something extraordinary was occurring." "Detective Carter," said Tom Rodriguez, the lead software engineer at Dataflow, This man knows details about our internal systems and ongoing projects that only someone with 4 years of experience in our development department would know. But your records show he works in marketing. Our records show David Mitchell works in marketing, but this man has detailed technical knowledge that our marketing staff wouldn't possess. Could he have gained this knowledge through corporate espionage or hacking? The level of detail he demonstrated requires years of hands-on experience with our specific systems and programming methodologies. The evidence suggested that Alex Thompson's memories and knowledge were genuine, even though all official records indicated he had never existed. Someone had managed to completely rewrite his identity while preserving his actual experiences and expertise. I decided to investigate data flow systems more thoroughly to see if their technology or employee access systems had been compromised. Detective Carter, said Dr. Rebecca Kim, Dataflow's head of digital security, we've been developing advanced identity management systems that could theoretically accomplish what you're describing. Dr. Kim was a specialist in digital identity verification and biometric security systems. She had been working on experimental technology that could create, modify, or transfer digital identities across multiple platforms simultaneously. Dr. Kim, could someone use your technology to completely rewrite a person's identity? Our research involves creating secure digital identities that can be rapidly deployed across multiple systems. But what you're describing would require not just changing digital records, but somehow altering physical documentation and human memories. Is such a thing possible? Theoretically, if someone combined our digital identity technology with advanced neuroscience and sophisticated social engineering, they could potentially replace someone's entire documented existence. Who would have access to your identity management systems? Only myself, my research assistant Maria Santos, and a few senior engineers. But detective, our technology isn't advanced enough to accomplish what's happened to Alex Thompson. I decided to investigate Maria Santos, Dr. Kim's research assistant who had been working closely with the experimental identity systems. Maria Santos was a computer scientist in her late 20s who specialized in database management and digital identity protocols. When I interviewed her about Alex Thompson's case, she seemed nervous and evasive. Santos, what can you tell me about Dataflow's digital identity research? We've been developing systems that can rapidly create and deploy digital identities for security purposes, things like witness protection, undercover operations, that kind of thing. Could these systems be used to completely replace someone's existing identity? The technology exists to change digital records, but altering someone's memories and physical documentation would require resources we don't have. Santos, do you know Alex Thompson? She hesitated. I know David Mitchell from the marketing department. Have you ever encountered anyone who claimed to be named Alex Thompson? Detective, there are things about our research that I'm not authorized to discuss. This is a police investigation. I need you to tell me what you know about identity manipulation technology. Maria was quiet for a long time before finally speaking. Detective, we haven't just been developing identity management systems. We've been testing them. Testing them how? On volunteers who agreed to have their identities temporarily modified for security research purposes. Was Alex Thompson one of these volunteers? Alex Thompson volunteered for an experimental procedure that was supposed to create a temporary alternate identity. The idea was that he could live as David Mitchell for a few weeks to test the effectiveness of our identity creation systems. But the change wasn't temporary? Something went wrong with the procedure. Instead of creating a temporary overlay identity, the system completely rewrote Alex's documented existence and implanted David Mitchell's memories alongside his original ones. Santos, why didn't you report this malfunction? Because Dr. Kim said the condition was irreversible and that revealing the experiment would destroy Dataflow's research program and potentially expose Alex to legal complications. Maria's confession revealed that Alex Thompson had been the victim of an experimental identity manipulation procedure that had gone catastrophically wrong. Instead of temporarily adopting an alternate identity, he had been permanently transformed into David Mitchell while retaining memories of his original life. Santos, how many other people have been subjected to these identity experiments? Alex was the 7th test subject. The previous 6 procedures went smoothly, with subjects successfully returning to their original identities after the test period. What was different about Alex's procedure? We were testing a new version of the identity virus, a program that could rewrite identity information across multiple platforms simultaneously. But the virus was more aggressive than we anticipated. You called it a virus? Because it spreads through connected systems, rewriting identity information everywhere it finds it. Alex's identity virus infected not just digital records, but somehow interfaced with his neurology to implant false memories. The case was revealing that data flow systems had developed technology that could literally infect and rewrite human identity at both digital and neurological levels. Alex Thompson had been infected with an identity virus that had permanently transformed him into David Mitchell. Santos, can the identity virus be reversed? We don't know. Alex's case is the first time the virus has caused permanent changes. What about the other test subjects? They're all living normal lives under their original identities. As far as we know, they suffered no permanent effects. I demanded to see all records related to the identity virus experiments. What I discovered was that data flow systems had been conducting unauthorized human trials of experimental identity manipulation technology for over a year. Dr. Kim, I said when I confronted her with Maria's confession, you've been illegally experimenting on human subjects without proper consent or oversight. Detective, our research has revolutionary implications for identity security and personal protection. But you've destroyed Alex Thompson's life in the process. We never intended for the procedure to become permanent. Alex volunteered for what he believed was a temporary experiment. Did Alex fully understand the risks of identity manipulation? We explained the basic concepts, but we couldn't predict the specific malfunction that occurred with his procedure. Dr. Kim admitted that the identity virus technology had been developed beyond its original security applications to explore the fundamental nature of human identity itself. Detective, what we've discovered is that human identity is far more malleable than anyone realized. Under the right conditions, we can completely rewrite who someone is at every level, digital, social, even neurological. And you saw no ethical problems with this research? We saw the potential to help people escape from traumatic pasts, create new lives for abuse victims, even allow people to explore different aspects of their personality safely. But Alex Thompson didn't consent to permanent identity replacement. The permanent replacement was an accident. We're still trying to understand why the identity virus affected Alex differently than the other test subjects. Dr. Rebecca Kim and Maria Santos were charged with conducting unauthorized human experiments and assault for their role in destroying Alex Thompson's identity. Data flow systems faced federal investigation for developing and testing illegal identity manipulation technology. But the most challenging aspect of the case was determining Alex's legal status. Was he Alex Thompson, David Mitchell, or some hybrid identity that didn't fit into existing legal categories? Detective Carter, said Alex when the investigation concluded, what am I supposed to do now? I remember being Alex Thompson, but everyone and everything in the world says I'm David Mitchell. The court will have to decide your legal identity based on the evidence. But even if they legally recognize me as Alex Thompson, I still have David Mitchell's memories and life experiences. I don't know which identity is really me anymore. The identity virus case taught me that in the digital age, human identity exists at the intersection of memory, documentation, and social recognition. When technology can manipulate all three simultaneously, the very concept of self becomes frighteningly vulnerable. Alex Thompson's case remained unresolved in many ways. While the court eventually recognized his legal right to reclaim his original identity, the psychological integration of his dual memories and experiences proved to be an ongoing challenge. Detective, Alex said 6 months later, I've learned to live with both sets of memories, but I'm not sure I'll ever know which version of myself is the real one. Maybe both versions are real, I suggested. Maybe identity is more flexible than we think. Or maybe I'm proof that identity can be hacked just like any other computer system. Every case tells a story, and the story of the identity virus was about how our sense of self depends on external validation and digital infrastructure that can be manipulated by those with sufficient technical knowledge and malicious intent. Alex Thompson had been infected with more than just false memories, he had been infected with a fundamental uncertainty about the nature of his own existence. In an age where identity exists primarily in digital form, the line between who we are and who the computers say we are had become dangerously thin. The identity virus had been contained, but its implications remained. In a world where everything about us exists in databases that can be altered, hacked, or rewritten, how do we know that the identity we wake up with each morning is the same one we went to sleep with the night before? Case closed, but identity remains an open question in the digital age where viruses can infect not just our computers, but our very sense of self.